Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Uh, my name is Ahmad Izzuddin Mamashim, as you already know. I'm currently still studying as a foundation student at UPM. And now I'll move on to what I'm about to present to you, which is whether or not that uh, online education, medical specifically, is effective to this society, or maybe students in general. So let's look at the statistics and the data. For the past few years, there have been a few positive numbers that clearly states that stating that online education is effective. But despite these numbers, in my opinion, I would have to disagree as to why. These are the three contents that I think support my opinion. Which is the first idea is that online education is inadequate. Okay, it's inadequate. This is due to the experience it gives to the people who surf the internet. Specifically, people who surf the internet to study medical, right? To search for health benefits or something along the line of that. So, how is it inadequate? Because it is a lot less engaging than real-time education. I mean, you can still do real-time education via live and stuff like that, but it will still be ineffective, and in a way it's not it is significantly different from being face to face, right? So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, not necessarily a bad thing, but it also not it is significantly different from being face to face with someone to teach you. For example, here I will give you YouTube, right? There are loads of channels in YouTube that uh, provide academical information, health information, knowledge, specifically. When people search for this stuff, most of the times, yes, they do get what they want, but most of the times they end up with more questions, right? So yes, you can still comment and maybe comment on the videos, but that's it. That's It's not going to immediately respond, or maybe not respond at all to your comments, right? So that's my first idea. All right. Oh, all right. So my second idea is that in terms of the viewers, or the audience of the of that certain of that social media account, yeah, it's the consumer, yeah. The provider and the consumer. So this is from the consumer's perspective, the learners, the people who seek this knowledge of medical or health knowledge. knowledge. Well, in terms of them, there are chances of false information and possibly a negative sabotage. This is due to the internet being a widespread global thing that is very accessible to everyone in the world, regardless of what culture or age or anything you are or where you are. Due to this, social media is an open learning resource. So anything can be shared in the internet. So it's not possible to say that some of those shared information or knowledge could be false, or maybe even fake. uh, and especially in medical education, you see, medical is a very intricate thing, intricate subject that needs more proof and also validation to its to its information. So if you find something regarding those topics, regarding medical topics, then it's possibly you have to research more, which only gives up more, which only wastes more time, rather than just going face to face with a lecturer or a teacher to talk about it. Also, regarding to the false information, it can also be somewhat from an immature user who is not really accustomed to the specific technology of this internet. So that might be a chance too. All right, so moving on to the third point, just running along here. Social media as an open learning source in medical education. So, okay. So the third point is very specifically that most of the researchers found out that people who learn medical education specifically are most of undergraduates. Technically speaking, young people, the youth. People who search for this are the youth, and mostly people who search for this students that are undergraduate medical student level. So for younger people, so the target audience for this specific medium of education is mainly for youth, right? So yes, in based on the question and from what I understand, it is trying to be informative, right? The doctors are trying to be informative of the situation and give beneficial advices or maybe useful knowledges that can be used to all personnel, right? To all to all of society, regardless of age. But in this age, the people who serve the internet searching for these kind of stuff are from the youth. And not to say that that the youth are only from the students that are below 30, but sometimes people are above 30, maybe not really not accustomed to the technology these days. Also, having youth, for them to be for it to be now that doesn't really necessarily sound like a bad thing. It is a good thing, but it's not significantly effective, right? It's only effective towards the younger generations and not the older generation who had older generations, right? So for the younger for the younger generation, for them to search this kind of stuff, it also requires them for them to have a really high responsibility, a degree of really high curiosity to search for this kind of stuff. Otherwise, they won't really search for this stuff, right? So it's not really a significant amount of people who search for this based on the numbers. So that is all. Okay, so in conclusion, there are three main points here that I would like to again empathize towards my point that I do not agree. I slightly do not agree to the fact that online education is effective, specifically medical education, due to those three ideas or topics that I just discussed about. And my advice to the people who are actually doing online education via YouTube or let it be YouTube or Instagram or anything, I would advise them to keep doing it, because it's not as if they're not making a difference, but they are doing something. It's just that it's not significantly different. But to a certain degree of people, it is really helpful. So that is all for me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.